The blue-skinned aliens called Elorans were in big trouble. Their spaceship was badly damaged. Captain Lisa Montgomery looked at the broken control panels and frowned. The ship's engines were failing. Life support systems were shutting down. Her people were scared. "We need to find help soon," she said to her crew, "or we won't survive another week." The Elorans had been running for a long time. They were peaceful beings who knew much about medicine and healing, but little about fighting. The cruel Drakari Dominion had attacked their homeworld years ago. Now, the last few thousand Elorans traveled through space, looking for a safe place to live. Lisa walked to the window and looked out at the endless stars. Her 4 eyes blinked slowly, a sign of deep worry in her people. The ship had hit something strange in space. Scientists called it a spatial anomaly. Now half their systems were broken. "Captain, I'm picking up a signal," called out Wren, the communications officer. His long fingers moved quickly over the controls. It's a radio transmission. Very old technology." Lisa hurried over. "Where is it coming from?" "A small solar system ahead." "The signal is about 70 Earth years old," Wren said. "It seems to be entertainment. Music and voices." Lisa thought hard. The Elorans had never met the beings of Earth. They only knew the planet existed from old star charts. Humans were considered primitive by galactic standards. They hadn't even visited their own moon when this signal was sent. "Can we reach their system?" Lisa asked her pilot. Pilot Jorel nodded. "Yes, but we'll have to use our last fuel reserves. If they can't help us, we'll be stranded." Lisa looked around the bridge at her crew. The children in the sleep chambers below needed a chance to live. The Eloran race needed a chance to survive. "Set course for Earth," she ordered. "And send out a universal distress call. Use all frequencies." The great ship turned slowly toward the small blue planet, still millions of miles away. As they traveled, their systems failed one by one. Oxygen levels dropped. Food supplies dwindled. The medical bay was full of injured crew members from the last system failure. Dr. Elam, the ship's chief medical officer, reported to Lisa 3 days later. "Captain, we have 27 more cases of radiation sickness. Our shields are barely working." Lisa nodded grimly. "How long can we hold out?" 4 days. "Maybe 5, the doctor said quietly. On the 4th day, their main engines died completely. The ship now drifted toward Earth, with only small thrusters to guide them. Lisa ordered the emergency beacon activated, a last desperate call for help. The signal shot out in all directions, a simple message repeated in the 50 most common galactic languages. "This is the Eloran vessel Harmony. We are peaceful. We need immediate assistance. Life support failing. Children aboard. Please help." No one answered. Day 5 came and went. Then day 6. The ship grew colder as heating systems failed. More crew members fell ill. Lisa began to lose hope. Then Wren shouted from his station, "Captain, I'm receiving a response. It's from Earth." Lisa rushed to his side. On the screen, strange symbols appeared. Earth writing. Then a voice came through the speakers. The translation computers worked to decode it. "Unknown vessel, this is United States Space Command. We have received your distress call and are dispatching assistance. Please maintain your current trajectory. Help is on the way." Tears filled Lisa's 4 eyes. The Elorans had been running so long, had lost so much. Now, this primitive planet they knew almost nothing about was responding to their call. "They heard us," she whispered. "They're coming to help." Around her, the crew began to cheer weakly. For the first time in many dark days, hope returned to the Harmony. The humans were coming. Dr. Alan Carter was working late at the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico. He sipped his cold coffee and stared at the computer screen. For 3 nights, he had picked up strange signals from space. They didn't look like normal space noise. They had patterns, smart patterns. "I'm telling you, this is not random." Alan said to his assistant Laura, "Look at the repeating sequence. This has to be artificial." Laura looked tired. "Even if you're right, who's going to believe you? Remember what happened to Dr. Miller when he claimed to find alien signals last year?" Alan nodded. Dr. Miller had been laughed at by everyone, but this was different. The signal was stronger and clearer than anything they had seen before. "I'm calling Susan," Alan decided. Susan Wright was the director of NASA. She was a tough woman who didn't believe things easily. But she trusted Alan. They had been friends since college. When Susan arrived at Arecibo the next day, Alan showed her the recordings. Her face grew serious as she listened. "You're sure this isn't from one of our satellites, or the Russians? The Chinese?" she asked. "Positive," Alan said. "The signal is coming from outside our solar system, but it's getting closer." Susan made some calls. Within hours, the observatory was filled with government officials. The president was informed. The United Nations called an emergency meeting. Unlike in the movies, people did not panic. World leaders decided to keep the news quiet until they knew more. They formed a special team called the First Contact Committee. Former Navy Admiral Jack Nelson was put in charge. He was old but smart, with gray hair and a calm voice that made people trust him. "I want our best minds on this," Jack told the committee. "If someone is coming to visit, we need to be ready." They set up a response team. Scientists, doctors, language experts, and soldiers trained for every possible situation. They prepared welcome messages in hundreds of languages and mathematical codes that aliens might understand. 3 weeks after Alan first heard the signal, radar stations around the world detected something big entering our solar system. It was moving fast but slowing down. It was heading toward Earth. Jack called a meeting with world leaders on a secure video line. "The object is definitely a spaceship," he told them. "Based on its speed and path, it will reach Earth orbit in 5 days. It's damaged. We can see parts of it breaking off, and it's sending out what seems to be a distress call." The Chinese president spoke first. "How dangerous is this ship?" "We don't know," Jack admitted. "But our scientists think if they wanted to harm us, they wouldn't announce their arrival or appear damaged." The President of the United States nodded. "So they need our help." "That's what it looks like," Jack said. "The question is, do we give it?" For once, the world's leaders agreed quickly. Humanity would offer aid. Rescue ships and medical teams were prepared. The military stood ready, just in case. Space agencies around the world worked together to track the alien vessel. On the 5th day, the ship entered Earth orbit. It was huge, twice the size of the largest aircraft carrier. Its hull was silver blue and clearly damaged. Parts of it glowed hot from entering the atmosphere too fast. Then, before the rescue teams could reach it, the alien ship began to fall. Its remaining engines fired weakly, trying to control the descent. Everyone watched as it crashed into the Pacific Ocean, 200 miles off the coast of San Francisco. Admiral Jack Nelson looked at the splash on the satellite feed and gave the order, "Launch rescue operations. Let's show our visitors what humanity can do." The first contact between Earth and aliens would not be a meeting of diplomats. It would be a rescue mission. Navy SEAL team leader Chris Daniels stood in the helicopter as it flew toward the crash site. The ocean below was churning with large waves. Pieces of the alien ship floated on the water. Some parts still glowed hot from entering Earth's atmosphere. 2 minutes to drop zone, the pilot called over the radio. Chris checked his gear one last time. His team looked nervous but ready. They had trained for many dangerous missions, but never one like this. "Remember," Chris told his team, "we are here to help, not fight." These beings called for rescue, and that's what we're going to do. 5 helicopters and 3 Navy ships approached the main part of the crashed ship. It was partly underwater but still floating. Steam rose where hot metal met cold ocean water. Chris and his team dropped onto the alien ship's hull. The metal felt strange under their boots. It was not like Earth steel or aluminum. It seemed to glow faintly with its own light. "Command, "We're on the hull," Chris reported, looking for a way in. They found a large crack in the side of the ship. Chris shined his light inside and saw a corridor. The air that came out smelled strange but not dangerous according to their equipment. "We're going in," he said. Inside, lights flickered weakly. Strange writing covered the walls. The team moved carefully through the corridors. Water was coming in from somewhere, and the floor was wet in many places. "I hear something," said Pete, one of Chris's men. "Sounds like voices." They turned a corner and saw them. The aliens, blue-skinned beings with 4 eyes and long, thin arms. About 20 of them were gathered in a large room. Some lay on the floor, clearly hurt. Others worked on broken equipment. One alien stepped forward. It wore a uniform with bright symbols. It spoke, making musical sounds that Chris couldn't understand. "We come from Earth," Chris said slowly, pointing to his chest. "We're here to help you." The alien seemed to understand the meaning, if not the words. It pointed to injured crew members and made urgent gestures. Chris called for the medical teams waiting outside. Soon, Dr. Marie Bennett arrived with her team. Marie was a xenobiologist, someone who studied possible alien life. She had prepared for this moment her whole career. "Their bodies are different from ours," Marie said as she examined the injured aliens. "They seem to have crystalline structures instead of some organs, and they're suffering from radiation exposure." One alien was trying to communicate with them. It drew pictures on a screen, showing their ship hitting something in space, then breaking down. Marie took a risk. She showed the alien how to treat human wounds, then pointed to the injured aliens. The 4-eyed being watched carefully, then nodded. Together, they began treating the wounded. More rescue teams arrived. They found over 100 aliens throughout the ship. 30 were badly hurt. Most shocking of all, they found special chambers containing alien children in deep sleep. News of the rescue reached Earth. People gathered around televisions and computers to watch. The first clear pictures of the aliens were broadcast worldwide. Instead of fear, most people felt sympathy for these beings who needed help. "They're just like us in the ways that matter," Marie told reporters later. "They care for their children. They help each other. They feel pain and fear. They just look different and come from somewhere else." By nightfall, all living aliens had been rescued from the ship. Special hospitals were set up to treat them. Scientists worked to learn their language. The world watched and waited. In Washington, D.C., Admiral Jack Nelson gave a brief statement. "Today, humanity passed an important test. When strangers from the stars needed help, we didn't hesitate. We didn't give in to fear. We simply did what was right." As the blue-skinned visitors received treatment, no one yet knew the real reason they had come to Earth, or the danger that was following them. 2 weeks after the crash, communication with the aliens improved. Scientists created a simple translation program that helped humans understand the Ilorans. The alien ambassador, Talon, met with world leaders at the United Nations. Talon was taller than most humans. His blue skin shimmered slightly in the lights. His 4 eyes blinked in pairs as he spoke. "We thank you for saving our people," Talon said through the translator. "Many species would have destroyed us on sight. Your kindness is rare in the galaxy." The Secretary General nodded. "We are glad to help, but we need to understand why you came to Earth and if others might follow you." Talon's eyes all blinked at once, a sign of sadness among his people. "That is why I must speak today. You are in danger because of us." The room grew quiet. Screens showed Talon's words to billions of people watching around the world. "My people, the Ilorans, were peaceful. We studied medicine and healing. Our ships traveled to help others, not to fight. Then the Drakari Dominion found our home world." Images appeared on the screen behind him. Strange ships with sharp edges and red lights. Planets burning. Talon explained that the Drakari were warriors who believed only the strong deserved to survive. They conquered 3 sectors of the galaxy, destroying anyone who resisted. "We could not fight them," Talon said. We tried to negotiate, but they saw that as weakness. They took our world. Those of us on ships fled. We have been running for many years. Major Olivia Wright from the Joint Chiefs of Staff leaned forward. And they're coming here now. Taylor nodded slowly. When our ship sent the distress call, the Drakari monitoring stations heard it too. They believe Earth is an Elleran colony. They will come to destroy you, as they tried to destroy us. Screens showed the path of the Drakari fleet. They would reach Earth in less than a year. How many ships? Asked the Russian president. 50 large warships, Talon answered, each carrying smaller attack vessels, over 100,000 warriors. The Chinese premier spoke next, and your assessment of our defenses against them. Talon looked down. Your technology is primitive compared to theirs. You have no ships that can leave your atmosphere and fight. Your weapons cannot penetrate their shields. I am sorry. The room erupted in worried voices. How could Earth fight an enemy from space? Some suggested surrendering. Others wanted to hide. Admiral Nelson stood up. What are their weaknesses? Everything has a weakness. They are overconfident, Talon said. They do not expect resistance from lesser species like yours. And their ships require special fuel that they must bring with them. Major Wright studied the Drakari ship designs. Their engines seem exposed. If we could target those. Yes, Talon agreed, surprised. But you would need to get close enough. The President of the United States looked around the room. We need to prepare. All countries must work together. We have less than a year to be ready for an enemy unlike any we've faced. For the next 3 hours, leaders asked questions about Drakari weapons, tactics, and biology. Talon answered as best he could. Earth scientists took notes. Military planners began forming strategies. As the meeting ended, Talon spoke again. There is something you should know about humans. In our travels, we have encountered many species. Some were stronger than you. Some were smarter. But none had your spirit. You are young as a species, but you have a strength the Drakari may not understand. Admiral Nelson nodded. And what strength is that? Talon's 4 eyes focused on the Admiral. When faced with impossible odds, most species surrender or run. But humans fight harder. That is why we believe you might survive what is coming. That is why we believe there is hope. As the leaders left to prepare their nations for war, one thing became clear. Humanity's first contact with aliens would be followed by humanity's first interstellar war. The world changed in the months after the Elleran Morning. Countries that had been enemies for decades now worked together. The United Nations building became the center of Earth's defense planning. Russian rocket engineers shared secrets with American weapons designers. Chinese computer experts worked with European scientists. For the first time in history, humans united against a common threat that wasn't human. Commander Sam Rodriguez led the military response team. He had a simple plan. Adapt Elleran technology to help Earth fight back. We don't have time to build space battleships, Sam explained to world leaders. But we can modify our satellites and missiles with Elleran tech. The Ellorans were surprised by how quickly humans learned. Lisa Montgomery, the Elleran captain, watched as NASA engineers took apart pieces of her ship's engine. Your people adapt faster than any species we've encountered, she told Sam. It took us generations to develop this technology. You're doing it in months. Sam shrugged. We're good at fighting. It's not something to be proud of, but it might save us now. Around the world, factories worked day and night. Workers built new weapons using Elleran designs. Farmers grew extra food to prepare for war. Children practiced emergency drills at school. NASA engineer Kelly Martinez made an important breakthrough. By studying the Elleran communication systems, she found a way to create faster-than-light messages. This would allow Earth forces to coordinate during the battle. We can't match their speed in space, Kelly explained to Sam. But we can talk to each other faster than they can. That gives us an advantage. The Ellorans shared all they knew about Drakari ships. Their weak points were few, but they existed. The main engines were vulnerable if hit directly. The command centers were always in the same location. And the Drakari were not used to fighting on planets. They preferred to destroy from orbit. They will expect us to surrender or hide, Lisa told the Defense Council. They won't expect you to attack them directly. Major Olivia Wright nodded. Then that's exactly what we'll do. Not all the work was military. Around the world, people built huge underground shelters. They stored food, medicine, and supplies. If the surface became dangerous, humanity could survive below ground. Some Elorans helped doctors understand alien biology. Others taught Earth scientists about space travel. A few even joined military training to help humans prepare for Drakari tactics. 6 months after the warning, Earth's defense system was taking shape. Satellites now carried energy weapons based on Eloran designs. Missiles could punch through shields that once seemed impenetrable. And special forces trained to fight in low gravity, preparing for possible boarding actions against Drakari ships. Then came the message. Earth's new deep space radar detected movement at the edge of the solar system. The Drakari had arrived earlier than expected. They sent a simple demand to Earth. Surrender all Elorans and accept Drakari rule or be destroyed. The United Nations met one final time before battle. Admiral Nelson stood before the leaders of Earth. The Drakari expect us to be primitive and afraid, he said. They think we'll give up our friends to save ourselves. They think we're weak because we showed mercy to the Elorans. He looked around the room at the determined faces. Let's show them how wrong they are. The response Earth sent to the Drakari was equally simple. We stand with the Elorans. If you want them, you'll have to go through us first. The Drakari commander sent one more message. Even through the translator, his surprise was clear. You would die for aliens you just met. Why? Admiral Nelson's answer spoke for all humanity. Because it's the right thing to do. The first Drakari scout ships entered the inner solar system the next day. Earth's forces moved to meet them. The greatest battle in human history was about to begin. The first battle between Earth and the Drakari took place near the orbit of Mars. Earth had turned its satellites into weapons platforms. Missiles carried special warheads designed to penetrate alien shields, but no one knew if they would work. Admiral Nelson watched from the command center as the Drakari scout ships approached. These scouts were smaller than the main battle fleet, but each one was still larger than anything humans had ever built. They're sending 5 scout ships, reported the radar operator. They'll reach our outer defense line in 20 minutes. Nelson looked at the Eloran ambassador sitting beside him. Your people said we should hide. That we can't win this fight. Talon nodded. The Drakari have never been defeated in direct battle. Nelson smiled. There's a first time for everything. The plan was simple but dangerous. Let the scouts come close, then ambush them from multiple directions. Earth forces would hide behind the moons of Mars, using their gravity to mask their presence. Pilot Diane Hughes led the first space fighter squadron in history. Her team flew modified spacecraft with weapons attached. They weren't designed for space combat, but they were the best Earth could build in 6 months. Remember your training, Diane told her pilots over the radio. Hit their engines, then get away fast. Don't let them trap you with tractor beams. The Drakari scouts entered the target zone. On Nelson's command, Diane's fighters and the hidden missile platforms attacked from all sides. The Drakari were shocked. They had expected primitive defenses, not a coordinated ambush. The first scout ship exploded when 3 missiles hit its engines at the same time. The second spun out of control, leaking air. 2 hits, shouted the tactical officer. 2 ships disabled. But the Drakari recovered quickly. Their remaining ships fired energy weapons that cut through 2 Earth fighters instantly. Diane watched her friends die in flashes of light. Stay focused, she ordered her remaining pilots. Pattern Delta, target the 3rd ship. For 30 minutes, the battle raged around Mars. Earth forces fought with surprising skill. The Drakari fought with superior technology and experience. Both sides took losses. When it ended, 3 Drakari scout ships were destroyed. But Earth had lost 17 fighters and 2 missile platforms. Diane's ship was damaged but still flying. "Return to base," Nelson ordered. "You've done enough for today." As Diane led her remaining pilots home, she saw the wreckage floating in space. Human and alien ships drifted together. It was humanity's first space battle, and they had survived. In the command center, Nelson studied the data from the battle. Their shields went down after the 3rd hit in the same spot. "We can use that." The Ellerin engineers were amazed. "You destroyed 3 Drakari ships with your primitive weapons," one said. "That has never happened before." Nelson pointed to the main screen. But now, the real problem comes. The long-range sensors showed the main Drakari fleet changing course. Instead of sending more scouts, they were bringing their entire force. The commander had decided to crush Earth quickly. Talon looked worried. "They will not underestimate you again. They will come with full power." Nelson nodded. "Good. Let them come angry. Angry enemies make mistakes." The news of the battle spread across Earth. People celebrated the victory, but leaders knew the truth. This was just the beginning. The real test would come when the main fleet arrived. Diane landed her damaged fighter and stepped out to a cheering crowd. Reporters asked how she felt about destroying an alien ship. "I'm not happy about killing anyone," she said, "but I am proud that we showed the Drakari something important today." "What's that?" asked a reporter. Diane looked at the sky where stars were just becoming visible in the evening light. "That humanity won't go quietly. That we will fight for our home. And that we keep our promises to our friends, even when it's hard." In deep space, the Drakari commander received the scout ship's final transmissions. He had never lost ships to a primitive species before. His anger grew with each report. He gave the order to increase speed. The main fleet would reach Earth in 3 days. The main Drakari fleet arrived 3 days later as promised. 50 huge warships moved into Earth orbit. They were dark shapes against the sky, visible even in daylight. People looked up and saw their enemy for the first time. Admiral Nelson addressed the United Forces of Earth one last time. "Today we fight not just for ourselves, but for all who stand against those who would take freedom from others. The Elorans came to us for help. We will not let them down." The Drakari commander sent a final message. "Surrender now, and some of you will live as our servants. Fight, and all will die." Earth's answer came not in words but in action. Every missile, every fighter, every weapon humanity had prepared launched at once. It was the largest coordinated attack in human history. Colonel Frank Wilson led the ground forces. If the Drakari landed troops, his soldiers would meet them. They had special weapons designed to work against alien armor. They had trained day and night for months. "They're launching landing craft," the radar operator announced. Hundreds of them. Frank watched the screen as the small Drakari ships headed toward major cities around the world. "All units prepare to engage. Remember, hit and run. Don't stand and fight. Make them chase you." In space, the battle was fierce. Earth's defense satellites fired again and again. Some Drakari ships took damage, but their shields were strong. They returned fire, destroying satellites and space platforms. Civilian engineer Paul Garcia worked in the main science center. He had been studying Ellerin medical technology, particularly the way it could repair living cells. Now he saw a different use for it. "The Drakari ships use living metal," he explained to Kelly Martinez. "It repairs itself, like skin healing a wound. But what if we could confuse that process?" Kelly understood immediately. A virus. Not for people, but for ships. They worked frantically, combining Ellerin medical knowledge with Earth computer code. The result was a quantum virus that could spread from ship to ship using the Drakari's own communication systems. Above New York, London, Beijing, and other major cities, Drakari troops landed. They were tall, with gray skin and red eyes. Their armor made them look twice as large as humans. They carried weapons that could melt stone. Colonel Wilson's forces met them with guerrilla tactics. They struck quickly, then disappeared into buildings or tunnels. The Drakari were used to enemies who surrendered, not those who kept fighting even when outgunned. In orbit, Admiral Nelson saw his chance. 3 Drakari ships had moved out of formation to attack Earth's last space platform. He ordered all remaining missiles to target those ships. "Fire everything we have," he commanded. The missiles struck together. 1 Drakari ship exploded. Another spun out of control. The third kept fighting. Then Garcia and Kelly launched their virus. They used Earth's new communication system to plant it in the damaged ship. The virus spread through the Drakari network, jumping from ship to ship. It didn't destroy them, but it confused their systems. Shields flickered, weapons misfired. The mighty Drakari fleet suddenly seemed vulnerable. "All units attack," Nelson ordered. Earth forces struck with everything they had left. Fighters flew suicide missions to plant bombs on Drakari ships. Ground forces targeted landing craft. For hours, the battle raged in space and on Earth. The cost was terrible. Millions died as Drakari weapons hit cities. Yet humanity kept fighting. When their guns ran out of ammunition, they used Eloran tools as weapons. When vehicles were destroyed, people fought on foot. The Drakari had never seen such resistance. They had conquered worlds where species surrendered after the first attack. They had never faced an enemy who would rather die fighting than live on their knees. By the end of the day, the Drakari had destroyed much of Earth's defenses, but they had lost 12 ships and thousands of troops. Their commander looked at the burning planet below, still fighting despite overwhelming odds. For the first time in his long career, the Drakari commander felt something new: doubt. Dawn broke over a changed Earth. Smoke rose from cities. Parts of Drakari ships had crashed to the ground. The battle had lasted all night, and neither side had truly won. The Drakari commander, Vexorn, studied the reports from his flagship. 12 of his warships destroyed. Thousands of warriors lost. Their virus countermeasures were working now, but the damage was done. He had never failed in a conquest before. His superiors expected him to bring this planet under Drakari control or destroy it completely. Yet after a full day of fighting, the humans were still resisting. On Earth, Admiral Nelson gathered with the remaining leaders in the underground command center. Half the world's major cities were damaged. Millions had died. But Earth's forces had destroyed over 20% of the Drakari fleet. "We can't keep fighting like this," said the French president, her face tired and dirty from helping evacuate Paris. "We've lost too many people already." Nelson looked at the battle maps. "We have one advantage left. The Drakari don't know about our deepest bunkers. We could hide there, wait them out." Lisa Montgomery, the Eloran captain, shook her head. "They won't leave. They'll hunt every human until none remain. That is their way." The room fell silent. Then a young officer entered with an urgent message. "Sir, the Drakari commander is requesting to speak with you directly." On the main screen, Vexorn appeared. His gray face was marked with red stripes showing his high rank. His red eyes narrowed as he looked at the humans. "Your resistance is impressive," he said through the translator. "No species has ever destroyed so many of our ships." Nelson stood tall. "We're just getting started." The Drakari commander made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You lie well, human. We both know you cannot win this war, but you have earned something few others have." "And what's that?" "Respect," said Vexorn. "My warriors speak of your courage. You fight with primitive weapons, yet you do not surrender. You protect aliens not of your kind. This is unexpected." Nelson waited. The Drakari commander was leading somewhere. "I offer terms," Vexorn continued. "We will withdraw from your system. The Elorans may stay under your protection. In return, you will not expand beyond your solar system for 100 years. The leaders looked at each other in shock. The Drakari were leaving. And if we refuse? Nelson asked. Then we continue until one side is gone, Vexorn said simply. It will be you, of course, but the cost to us will be higher than we wish to pay. Nelson muted the communication and turned to the others. Is this a trick? Talon, the Ellerin ambassador, seemed stunned. The Drakari never retreat. Never. This is unprecedented. After a brief discussion, Nelson unmuted the channel. We accept your terms with one addition. You will never return to this system. Ever. Vexorn was silent for a long moment. Agreed. Remember this day, humans. You have earned the right to live, but you have also earned the attention of powers beyond your understanding. The screen went dark. Within hours, the remaining Drakari ships began moving away from Earth. Some people cheered, but most were too tired, too hurt to celebrate yet. 1 month later, Earth began to rebuild. The Ilorans helped with their advanced medical technology, healing injuries that would have been fatal before. They shared more of their knowledge, helping humanity recover faster. At a ceremony at the partially rebuilt United Nations, Admiral Nelson spoke to representatives from around the world. We faced an enemy that had never known defeat, and we showed them that humanity will not be conquered. But more importantly, we kept our promise to help those who needed us. Lisa Montgomery stood beside him, her 4 eyes bright with emotion. The Ilorans came to us as strangers asking for help, Nelson continued. They are strangers no more. They are friends, neighbors, and teachers. Together, we will rebuild. Together, we will heal. And together, we will prepare for whatever comes next. In the audience, Diane Hughes, Chris Daniels, Paul Garcia, and the other heroes of the battle listened. They had all lost friends. They had all seen terrible things. But they had also seen the best of humanity, courage, compassion, and an unbreakable will to survive. As the ceremony ended, Lissa looked up at the stars becoming visible in the evening sky. They called for help, she whispered, and it was humanity who came to our aid.